Spread across the collarbones. Notice both sides of your body, left to right, front and back, top and bottom. All right, now let's roll out the ankles by tracing the outer perimeter of your foot. You can start with one leg a few times in one direction. You can look at it to notice as you're moving what it's like, and then reverse it. Okay, now stand on both feet and notice the difference in sensation on both sides. And then do the second side. So how your ankles feel, your feet, your knee, your hip, your balance. Go the opposite way. Good. And then stand on both feet again. So we were talking about the arches of the feet, and we've done these a lot, but we'll do them again in a little bit of a different way. Okay, so if you look down at your feet, one way to lift your arches, so it just naturally lifts, and the arch that I'm talking about, because there's a few different arches of the feet, is the one you think of as your arch, your instep, okay? And one way is to use the extrinsic muscles of that arch, which are, that means that those muscles have their origins and attachments, one of them in the lower leg rather than in the foot. So they're outside the foot. So we're going to lift the toes up off the floor. And when you lift all of your toes on each foot off the floor, you should see that your arch just naturally lifts. Okay, it just naturally comes up. If it's difficult to do that standing, you can do it seated, right? So you could sit on a chair and do it. And the reason it might be difficult is balance or just trying to focus on that leg. Okay, so you're lifting that arch up. Now, do you all see at home, you guys that are here live, do you all see that your arch, give me a thumbs up if you see that your arch lifted a little bit when you did that? Okay, okay. Doesn't have to be a lot, but just that you could see it went up. If you relax it back down, you'll see it just moved a little bit. It kind of changes the orientation of your foot. Okay, so that's one way to start strengthening your arches using the extrinsic muscles. The other way is that short foot exercise that we've worked on quite a bit, and this one's a little more challenging. And that one is where and I'm only standing like this so you can see my foot rather than with this one in the way. You don't have to stand with one forward. So what I'm going to try to do is move the ball of my foot closer to the heel of my foot. And I don't know if you can tell with these socks. Let's see if with skin it works a little better. But I'm sliding the ball of the foot almost like a suction cup, like this, kind of like we did with our hands. It goes from flat to up, flat to up. And I'm doing this by sliding the ball of my foot. I'm not doing this with my toes. That's what most people will try to do. See, but that's a different set of muscles than for the arch. It's a different arch, okay? And it's the flexors of the toes. So it takes a little bit. I'm still engaging some muscles in my toes to make it happen. And this is an intrinsic way. So the muscles are all in the foot to strengthen and lift that arch. So you can try a few on one foot. You can do both at the same time, or you can do one foot at a time, right? And just kind of see which one do you have better control over. And so all of these, or both of these exercises so far, are to strengthen your feet, specifically that arch, and just to become a little more aware of it as well, okay? And notice if you really have to scrunch the toes, it just takes practice. Again, this can be done in a chair, which makes it easier. It can even be done, trying to do it while standing on one leg, and the bottom leg is doing a short foot exercise, which is very challenging. So you progress as you get better at it, okay? All right, just take a break for a second. Let's swing and twist. So you can work on various foot exercises every day. You have a whole bunch of them in your toolbox, and definitely in the video library. There's things about spreading the toes, about passive mobility of the feet, active mobility, strengthening, right? So picking a few every day is a great idea to keep those feet healthy or regain mobility and strength in your feet. All right, let's come back around now. Okay, now we're going to work a little bit with foot and knee connection. So for this one, we're going to use a warrior two position, and you can just mimic or mirror me the way I look on my mat. If you need balance support, you would put it in front of you, the back of your chair. So I've got this leg and foot open to the side, and I've got this ankle and it kicked back a little bit, the heel kicked back, right? And my knee is facing this way, but my belly button is facing not toward my knee. It's facing the side. Okay, so I've got this hip opening happening, right? When you look down and bend your knee and straighten the leg again, just notice if it can move in the direction of the center of the foot, or if it is leaning in, pronating, or supinating, going out. We're going to try to go toward the center of the foot. And so if it can't open that much, just move your foot toward this long edge of your mat. So you bring it forward so there's a less opening to happen with the hip. Okay. Then from here, I'm going to go a little wider. So my knee is going to begin when it's bent kind of over the ankle. And I'm going to bend and come up, bend and come up. Now, when I'm bending it, I'm letting it go over the foot. You can see that it's not making a right angle anymore because I'm just working on some knee strength. If that hurts, then you don't have to go as far, right? Remember, your belly button is not turning towards your knee. It's turning toward, for me, it's turning toward the screen, right? Okay. Now we're going to be a little gentle with this one. We're going to start to pronate the foot a little bit and let the knee come toward the inside because we want all angles of our knee flexion to be strong. So be gentle because that one might hurt a little bit. So I want to make sure it doesn't hurt. Okay, just go in and out. And you can feel your brain will start to get that when you're pronating, your knee goes in. Okay. And we often don't want that happening, especially walking, hiking, all of that. Okay. Now let's try to go toward the outer part of the foot. So toward the pinky edge, and the knee will have to open more to be able to make that happen. Okay. Being aware of how that feels. You can look at it without turning your belly button toward it. Okay, now we're going to try to go around the foot. So I'm going to start on the outside. I'm going to move to the inside, come back up. So I'm making little circles. I'm going very slowly because I'm aware of this knee, making sure it doesn't hurt. Okay. Remember, you're not turning towards your knee with your chest or your belly, and then reverse the circles. You're turning, your chest and your belly are facing, and they're 90 degrees away from your knee. Okay, and now let's just try right down the middle. Just right down the middle. So you kind of get that awareness of the weight of your foot and where your knee is, and you can check it with your eyes without turning your chest or belly to see if it is doing what you think it's doing. Good. And then just come up. Let's turn the feet parallel. Stand on both feet and try to lift the toes up like we practiced when we were lifting the arches using the extrinsic muscles. You could look down and see if your arches look like they're lifting, like if you had a little cave for a tiny little ladybug or something, it would have space. It wouldn't be getting smushed in there. Okay. And now let's open the other foot. And we'll kick the back heel back. Remember the belly, this is side warrior. So the belly is not facing the knee, it's facing the sides, warrior 2. And at first we're just kind of straightening and bending. And what I'm feeling for here is, do I need to move my foot? Because my hip doesn't want to open that much. So I might move that foot toward this long edge of my mat. So this way, right? Which allows the hip to not have to rotate open as far. Okay. And you notice I'm starting here with the bending just being to 90 degrees. If you're standing like this, not very far, it's going to go way past, the angle is different, right? I'm going over the toes. So you got to go wide. Okay. Now you can start to pronate the foot so the knee goes in, but go gently. So you notice, does this feel okay on my knee? And by looking at it with your eyes, you can get your brain to kind of get that connection, right? When you're on the inside of the foot, the knees tend to knock inward, which isn't a great angle in most things, in most weighted exercises, but it happens all the time in life. Our knees need to be able to go everywhere. Okay, now let's try the outer foot. So the hip needs a lot of external rotation to be able to do that in this position. And then we're going to go around the foot. So I'm just making circles, noticing my weight on my feet going around and around. And then reverse it. And then straight down the middle. Straight down the middle. Noticing what that feels like. Good. And then coming up, let's turn the feet parallel again and try to lift the toes up. And you can look at your feet too. Again, see if you got your little cave down there for the critter. Okay. Little ladybug. Good. And then let's heel toe, bringing the feet back together. Good. Noticing how you feel on your feet, feeling the heels, feeling the balls of the feet, feeling all of your toes. Good. And now let's try lifting all of the toes up. Again, balls of feet down. You can look down for this. You can even use your hands, and we'll do our tapping that we do. So we're going to tap the big toes down and up, big toes down and up. See if just the big toes can move. You can do it with your hands too. Okay, it gives the brain a little reinforcement, or you can actually go down there with your hands and make it happen if they don't move on their own, right? So you just kind of move them to try to, that also helps your brain to do it. You can also do it seated in a chair. Now let's leave the big toes up and try to tap all the other toes down and up. Keep breathing. Okay. And now let's rest the feet and try to stand on one leg as you make a fist with your foot and then spread it out. So I'm scrunching up my foot and spreading it out. Scrunch, spread, scrunch, spread, scrunch, spread. And then the other side, scrunch, spread, scrunch, spread. Scrunch, spread. Good. All right. Now let's get your block. Okay. Now I have a block. Again, this is going to be an opportunity for you to use your blanket. I mean, your rolled up pillow or blanket, right? So here's an example of that. I would just take this. It's a pretty firm one when it's folded between the legs, right? Something like that. I'm going to take my block, the medium width. Okay. And I've got the bottom edge of the block. Here's where my kneecap is. The top edge of my kneecap aligns with the bottom edge of the block. If you don't have a block, then you don't have to be as specific. And I'm just going to engage the part of my quadriceps that's right there touching and release. And I can really feeling it press against the block as I tighten and release. You may not have control over this muscle, so you're just going to have to use your brain and look at it. It's like you're learning to wiggle your ears, okay? So you'd have to just look at it and focus on the muscle and try to start making it happen. Some people can't do this because they can't relax their quads. So their quads are always tight and engaged. So they can't lift and lower their kneecaps like this. So just work on it. All right. Now I've got my feet about hips distance because my block is keeping them that way. I'm going to turn to my side so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to take my butt back, squeezing the block. So a little chair pose and back up. Notice I'm not rounding at all, right? I'm not doing this. Okay, I'm staying lifted and broad across my collarbones. And I'm just bending a little bit. I'm not even going all the way down to parallel, right? I could start to go down more, but I only want you to do that if you're not doing this. So I see a lot of, not right now, I'm not talking about right now with you guys that are here, but I often will see people do this to bend down and come up. I want you to try to stay lifted and use the strength of your legs. Another thing I see is just rounding that happens a lot. Good, so notice your knees are staying as wide as your feet. Now, can you do a few with your toes lifted? Okay, and then just come up and take a break. You can take your block away, can step side to side. So another way to do that would be to do it instead of with toes lifted, do it with your short foot. Now, so I'm actively moving the ball of my foot back toward my heel. Now, most people that I've worked with really have trouble doing short foot. Like their feet are not strong because we wear shoes with a lot of support, and then that takes away the strength of your foot, right? So you don't want to all of a sudden start wearing shoes that don't have support. I'm not suggesting that, but it takes some time to build up the strength. So let's try it again, either toes lifted or short foot. But if short foot isn't really accessible and you end up squishing your toes in, then just do toes lifted, okay? And try a few more. Try like, anywhere from 3 to 10, depending on your knees and how your body feels, okay? Good. Good. All right. Let's take our block away. Just throw it down. Shake out the legs a little bit. Okay, for this next part, you'll need to roll up your yoga mat. You could also use a rolled, like a foam roller. That could be a little tough, or a rolled up blanket, but that tends to get a little too flat. So I like to use your yoga mat. My yoga mat, I'm just using a second one because this one is too flat. So I'm going to put my chair in front of it with the back of the chair facing me. And I've got it rolled up to its max. And you guys take your time getting there. I'm just going to show you what I'm doing. In fact, I could use my block here, but okay, so I'm going to use my block, but you don't have to. I'm going to put it where it was. And that's just to keep my feet facing forward. It kind of gives me the idea of keeping my feet facing forward. So this is a good arch strengthener and foot awareness and calf strengthener as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is my toes are on the rolled up mat and my heels are on the floor. And I'm going to stay straight and inhale, try to come up on the balls of my feet, and exhale, lower back down. Up. So your toes are parallel, your feet are parallel. You might find that you naturally are taking one foot to point out. So point in parallel. See if you can go up and down several times. Slow down. Good. And then you can stay with your heels down. You can scoot your chair forward. You might not need to. And fold. And just all we're looking for here is some sort of calf stretch. If you're very tight in the hamstrings, you might only feel it in your hamstrings. Okay, so you can try to walk the toes further up onto the mat. That might help you get into your calves more. Relax your neck and your face and feel like you're trying to turn your tail toward the ceiling. And breathe in and out. Breathing in and out. Good. And then you can come up if you were using your block. You could toss it aside. You can unroll your mat. We'll still keep our chair here. And we'll take the toes into flexion and the ankle into plantar flexion. So I'm placing the top of my foot and or ankle onto the floor and stretching the foot this way, standing tall. And then that foot down. Let's take the other foot back. Long exhales. Just noticing how it might feel different side to side. Good. Let's stand on both feet. Going to step into our wide-legged stance again. Right? And then opening this foot to the side, just like we did in the beginning, stepping it to where the knee would bend toward the center of the foot and kicking the back heel back. So a warrior two stance, bending that front knee. And in warrior two, the knee is right over the ankle rather than like this, rather than over the toes. Okay, so it's straight up. Now let's try to lift the front toes up. And then can you look at your back foot? And it might be pronating. So you might be putting the arch down on the floor. You may and you may not. So let's try to not do that. Let's press the pinky toe edge down as well. Okay, and look and see if you've got your little cave open back there for your little ladybug to crawl under on that back foot. Okay, so we're working both feet in different ways. And then if you want to, you can bring your arms up and try to take 3 to 5 breaths in warrior two. You might look towards your front hand. Long exhales. Good. And then slowly straighten the leg and close that right foot or that whatever foot was on that side for you. I think it's your left foot. And then open up the other, kick the back heel back, arrange the legs in the position that works for your hips to open. When you're bending the knee's over the ankle. Going to try to lift those front toes up. And then we're going to look at your back foot and try to get that pinky edge of the foot on the floor, the ball of the big toe, and see if you can create that little cave back there for your little ladybug back there. Belly button is not facing your knee, it's facing the side, right? Warrior two, side warrior. Can take the arms up if you'd like. And you could look toward the front hand with just your head. At 3 to 5 breaths here. In those feet engaged and active. Good. And then when you're ready, head bring the arms down, straightening the leg. Let's bring the feet next to one another, closer to one another. Just notice if there's any movement your body wants to do. So maybe hula hoops or swing and twist. And then we're going to make our way down toward the floor for a seated position. If you wanted to sit in the chair because you like it better, feel free. Okay. You could sit up on a pillow or a blanket or against a wall. Any leg position is fine. We're going to use our hands a little bit again. This time for a mudra, which is a hand gesture that's meant to invoke a certain feeling or experience, okay? And this one will touch the thumb to the ring finger, if you can. If you can't, then you can have your hands however you want, okay? And you can relax through your shoulders. And this particular mudra is meant to, the intention is bringing on a sense of embodiment. So being present in your full body. You can relax through your jaw and shoulders. Your eyes could be open, focused on one spot softly, or they could be closed. Your hands are not overly stiff. You're just feeling that connection between the fingers, breathing in and out. Noticing what your experience is like, and can you keep your focus here? And the phrase that goes with the mudra here today is fully present in my physical being. I experience ease and harmony. So fully present in my physical being, I experience ease and harmony. And you can release your hands whenever you want to.